Hey, I'm Grant. Welcome to Digression Bar 17.
I'm Andrew.
So I'm going to start with some rants. So I'm learning JavaScript as part of just like learning to do my site, as well as I'm preparing for like a class I'm taking through work for React.js, which is like a JavaScript graphics library for UIs and stuff. It's going to be interesting because I suck with UIs. It's very hard. And I don't know if you know much about JavaScript, but everything is bullshit.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to say. It's like I just read that book. It's like an online book that's free. It's like Eloquent JavaScript or something.
So not Ruby on Rails.
No, this is separate. Ruby on Rails uses JavaScript.
Right.
So I'm not sure exactly how they interact yet because I've basically put down Ruby on Rails to learn the JavaScript because it's a little bit more relevant. And I have I have a due date by JavaScript that I need to get done. So,
By the way, we should call these Grant's Rants.
Grant's Rants?
Like that portion, this portion of the podcast.
Grant's Rants. Well, I want to get it out because we're going to talk about a ton of Final Fantasy 15 at the end of this. Yeah. I want to make a show, and I need a title for it. Right now, one of the tentative ones I was going for is just like Grant's Rants, but that sounds a little bit too cheesy, so I was thinking more like G-Rant or something like that. I don't know yet.
Gmod?
Gmod? I was thinking, like, could I make some kind of like G-Man pun? I don't know. That's weird, though.
Yeah.
I think how about to, but it's just bullshit. Like, I just want to rant. Like, you can pass a function into another function as a variable. Like, it makes no sense. And the author, I wish I could show you this. The author is like super eccentric and weird in all his examples. So you did programming at one point, right?
I did Java one.
You did Java? Yeah. So how would you describe a variable?
If I recall correctly, a variable is it's a reference to a set that you have associated with a certain input.
Yeah. I mean, basically it's something you use to hold data.
Yeah.
So it's like, this is variable X. X is 5. Mm-hmm. It references that.
Yeah.
His way of describing this, because it's basically meant for if you have no programming experience, is like, imagine you're an octopus. And each one of your tentacles is holding on to data, and you're grasping the data. And I guess I think what he was trying to get at is about how you don't actually literally can hold the data. Sometimes you just point at it, so two can point at the same thing. Mm-hmm. And if it changes underneath, they both change.
Yeah.
But it was just weird. Or like he tried to talk about objects, which are like data structures basically. And he's like, so imagine there's a dude named Steve, and his thing is every night, on some nights, he turns into a squirrel. And he wants to figure out why he turns into a squirrel. So we're going to do some just like statistical analysis on him being a were-squirrel. And that's weird enough. What was weirder were like the two chapters at the end of the two paragraphs at the end of the chapter where he finished the story. Where he'd already explained everything, but he had to. It's like, I have to be a programmer, but I really want to be like a children's writer. It's just like all over the place. And I'm just reading this, I'm like, I need to complain about this to someone too. Like, it's not bad. It's just like, What?
So, is this text? Or
it's an online book.
Okay.
So it's text.
Okay. I don't know if like it's like an audiobook or what.
That would be great.
Explaining, telling the story of the squirrel. But no, you're saying in book form, he's literally just talking about the squirrel at the end.
Yeah. That would be a great comedy sketch, actually. Learn how to program in JavaScript, the audiobook. And because it would just be like, now let's make a class. Public, space, name, space, opening bracket, space, tab, carriage return. Because you just have to describe all of it. And then, let's start over. We forgot a semicolon.
Don't forget to nest your, what is it?
Your if statements?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've just been going through that 2 chapters every day, and it's just everything. It's good, but one, JavaScript's already insane. It's like every chapter's like, if you need a function, you can do A, but you can't do B, but unless you do it the other way, and then you can do B, but you can never do A. And it's just like arbitrary distinctions, and it makes no sense. It's frustrating. It's just weird. So that was the whole rant. I'm doing that to learn React.js, but I'm hoping just be on the other side of it. Because at this point, Ruby makes way more sense than JavaScript. JavaScript's known to be the weird language because it will take anything you give it and it will try really hard to make it work somehow. Yeah. So you just get the most random outputs. It's just what? So that's been a lot of my time. I feel like I've been in a slump on the YouTube stuff because I feel like I got to the point where I want to do a new show. I want to do something very like purposeful, like very like I want to make a 4-part series on something. Like there's only 4. I'm gonna take 2 months to make it, but it's very like I have a plan and execute on it.
Purposeful, you mean like I'm going to make this. Nothing's going to stop me from making this.
Well,
not like it has meaning.
Well, like a plan for it. Like what I'm saying, like whereas right now, I'd say for like the last year, I would describe my YouTube pattern very driven by like schedules, and that was the point to kind of keep rolling stuff out and get better on like workflows. So stuff like the podcast comes out every 2 weeks. So every 2 weeks, I have something to do. Whereas this would be more like I'm not gonna have like a time scale. It's just gonna be I make it when I make it, and it's done when it's done. But it's still working on it like every day or something.
So, have you committed to a time frame yet for this?
No, I'm tempted to move the podcast to once a month, but I haven't decided yet.
Okay, I just wanted.
Well, I mean, I kind of have to decide because it should have come out like at 9 a.m. this morning, but we'll see. I think it was.
It won't be if you're watching this because
it's not 9 a.m. this morning because
if you also won't be this week even.
Well, I mean, it could be. If I wanted to, I could finish it tomorrow. I'll try. It depends on how far we go. If we go really long in the Final Fantasy discussions, I don't know. We'll see. It depends. It's also easier with 2 people because usually with 2 people, it's more likely that one person talks for a while.
Yeah.
So the cuts are really easy. I just basically listen to it. With 3 people, it's harder. With 4 people, it's just like every 1 second of the podcast takes like 10 seconds to edit because it's just like so much back and forth and be like, okay, I need to cut out this. It's a whole thing. And we'll see. Maybe I'll try and get it out tomorrow, I think. We'll see. I also want to do something fancy with a thumbnail. And that's always like way down the line on the list of priority. So, and I want to make that better again. Like I really like all our thumbnails. Like I really actually liked how that Fallout one from last week came out. Yeah. I thought that was going to look way worse. Like I wasn't going to be able to get it to work. And I was like, oh, that actually turned out pretty well.
What you should do for one, figure out whatever it is, I don't care, is get Jamie for one of her tutoring get her kids to submit their own art, and then you choose the best one. And
that would be fun. I thought about doing that, like getting like let's draw the thumbnail with crayons, just something like that. Like it's like not on the same art like style at all because it's us with crayons. I'm not good with crayons. That'd be fun. I don't know. The other reason I wanted to maybe drop it back to a month is it would give me more time to kind of like reinvent it a little bit. Nothing crazy, but I really like. There's a couple problems I would like to solve. Like I would love to find a way to really come in and have like a lot of energy, or do like more sections where it's like this is the question section, this is like the rant section, something like that. I don't know. So it's a little more structured, and like when we hit the ground running, we're like boom. Because I do feel like a big problem we have, and the reason it always goes long, is we start and it's like, hey, I did stuff since the last podcast. That's cool. And then this, and it's like, oh, that reminds me of a thing. Oh, that reminds me of something. And you start snowballing. And at the end, it's like, I don't want it to end because now you finally got the energy. But now we're an hour long. It's like, God damn it, Grant.
Yeah. One of the William and Alex's critiques is they said that we have like our segue game is like non-existent. Like we basically, we'll just tangent, except
not tangent, digress.
I guess.
Digress.
Yes.
Digress.
With no warning. Very no warning.
It was way worse when we did. Well, that's because you've seen the early ones when we used to put like the topics up on the screen, and then I felt like it was like we were focused too much on getting like every topic.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, now let's talk about this. Whereas I have no issue if we talk about one thing the entire time and we don't get to the other because it's like we'll always have another podcast.
Always.
This is where in the future they would like cut to like my gravestone after this like is the final one. And there's like sad music playing. I don't know. There's just a bunch of stuff I'd like to do. Like I really liked it when we had videos after the podcast, just like a small little like excerpt, like initial 20 seconds.
Yeah.
But that takes time to make and get the resources for. And if it was like a month, I'd have a little more to work with. So that'd be nice. Or even just like stuff like maybe we have interesting discussions before like the podcast because we have to sync the cameras before we actually sit down and go.
Yeah.
So there's been times where it's like, man, it would have been cool to have this discussion like kind of after the credits or whatever. But by the time I'm done with the podcast, I don't want to load up the footage again and like go and find something. I'm just like, I'm good.
You lazy fuck.
Yeah. Well, everyone's lazy at like fucking midnight.
Yeah.
But, or just like if I did it sooner in the week. Like that's the other thing is like if we got like a week ahead or 2 weeks ahead where we're like, we were filming it on the Saturday, the day after like the last one came out, then I would have more time to like space it out and not like binge it. But
what I'm hearing is we need to do like 5 podcasts in one day, and then you can just work on it as time goes.
See, well, that's actually one of the things that sucks about the podcast. It's stuff like if I want to do like I've filmed that like LP of like Legacy Kingdom or whatever. I can do the entire thing in a weekend, and it can just like I can slowly churn through it. Podcast that doesn't work as well because then like say if we do it once a month and we do a week long. Well, you just did the next 5 months. So when you get to podcast 6 for that year, it's going to be a huge fucking like jump. You know?
Yeah.
So
I know.
it needs to be relevant. Like that's why that's hard.
Like, yeah,
it's hard to get ahead.
So someone died.
Yeah.
It's real awkward. They actually died 3 months ago, but you wouldn't know that.
So it's weird. I don't know. I'm still undecided. It's like I like having a podcast every 2 weeks because that feels like a good time frame. It's just a little bit can be hard if I want to do other stuff. The ideal time frame would be every 3 weeks, but that doesn't sync up with the calendar. And then it would be like it comes out the first week, and then you have 2 this month, but then you have only 1 in like the second, third week of the next month, and it's weird. It's inconsistent. So I don't know. Maybe I could do something different, like maybe every 1st and every 15th of the month. I thought about doing that, and
Wait, what?
doing like have it come out on the 1st of the month and like the 15th of the month. So like they're 15 days apart, more or less. So you get like that extra day instead of literally 2 weeks.
They wouldn't be on Fridays, then they would just be whenever.
Yeah, but at least then you could tie it to something. It gives me a little padding. But I don't know. Or maybe this is all these debates I have. Like I don't know. Maybe we could do like okay, every month you get an hour one, where it's like you, Jamie, and I, and then you also the second one's like 30 minutes or something, where it's like boom, boom, boom. I don't know. I'm undecided. These are all things that this is why I would like to move it to a month because then I could sit down and like try stuff, or just be like, I'm just gonna make a bunch of thumbnails. I don't know. These are the debates I have. Making a podcast is surprisingly hard compared to what it looks like on camera.
The internal struggles. Well, I want to know that because I just show up.
I don't know if I talked about this. I figured out a new conversion strategy for my videos, and it has been like I haven't had a chance to actually export anything. I think I might have fixed the audio issue.
Like the
Yeah, I think I might have fixed that. I might have. I haven't exported anything, but I have a hunch. Like, because I was doing the Legacy of Kain stuff, and that's a PS1 game. And the game itself runs in 1080p because it just renders it at a higher definition. But if you remember, like in the PS1 days, like if you played Final Fantasy 7, all the cutscenes are like those pre-rendered FMVs.
Yeah.
Yeah, but since that's a pre-rendered video, that's still like in really tiny resolution, so it has to reboot my monitor every cutscene. Well, it hates that. Because you basically are turning the program on and off without stopping the recording.
Okay.
So I was like, I need to find a solution to get this working in my editor, and I found it. I'm not going to know the specifics of it, but I found it. And for once, like it was ominous. I dragged like all 32 files into my editor at once, and they just loaded. And normally I do them by twos because normally they'll crash if I do to like too many at once, and they all just worked. I was like, oh. I was like so excited. It was weird.
Wait, it works more smoothly putting more in than usual?
Yeah, because normally I can do like 2. And then it may or may not lock up. And I stuck like all of them in there and they all just went smoothly. That never happened.
Because you put them all together or because you figured out the better way to do it?
The better way to do it.
Okay.
And so that was like, not ominous, but like foreboding, like, oh, maybe I found like a golden format. So.
You found you harpooned your white whale.
Yeah, my holy grail, basically. That hopefully gets my editor working. It's weird. I don't exactly know what did it, but now if I can just remember to do all my other steps. There's a lot of problems that I have to solve that are really annoying, and you always notice them after you like fuck up. Like I'm always like, oh, I recorded an entire hour of I don't know, like a recording for like I say Kane or whatever. Ah shit, I recorded it in 41 hertz instead of 48 hertz. Damn it, not hertz, sample rate, and that's a source of one audio issue. That sucks. But it's like, it's after the fact. I'm not going to go back and record another hour and a half. So, these are rants I have as someone who makes a podcast. So, sorry. Huge tangent. Otherwise, I don't know what else up to me with me. I decided to like shave my head. I'm going with that for a while. So I did that. It's all smooth. And it's weird. It's weird.
It looks good.
Yeah. I don't know. I think the weirdest thing was just like, I didn't realize how many things like my head touches that are just cool. Just like the back of my like car. It's just like, oh, that's so cool. Yeah. It's weird. So that was the whole thing. It's like, but we'll see how that goes. I had a whole list, but I didn't remember to charge my Kindle where I keep my list of things to talk about.
Your Kindle or
it's Ellie's Kindle, but she doesn't have a use for it. So
I thought she had different type of tablet than a Kindle, so that's why I was confused.
It's a Kindle Fire, I think.
Okay.
I don't actually know because I didn't buy it, but it's the only thing I use it for is a podcast. So
I thought it was an Android something or other. You know.
it runs on Android, I believe, but it's like the Amazon Android, and I actually really don't like the OS because you can't really like install new versions of certain programs. Like you have to use their browser, and you always get ads, and that's annoying. Like just opening up your phone getting an ad would be annoying. Like not in the program, not in an app, just on your home screen is an ad, and it's locked to that. That is dumb.
Did she get it cheap because of that?
Yeah, well, she got it cheap because she wanted to use it for Android development. So the point wasn't be like rate a book on it. The point was write an app for it. And she actually has some of hers on there, but I don't use it.
I just feel like if it's something that you're essentially paying them ad revenue every time you use it. So it's like, at what point is it more like, this is just annoying, and I feel like I've done my part.
Oh, I don't know. I love ads on things that I watch and that I enjoy.
Yeah, but it's something you also. But I mean, saying like as someone who bought the device.
Yeah, we're gonna have ads on the Digression Bar DVD though, so you know.
Yeah, but
don't ruin it.
You can skip those. So.
No, you can make it unskippable. You can make unskippable stuff on the Blu-ray.
Though usually those are the legal.
Yeah. You can make trailers unskippable though. I have thought about just for like the fun of it, making like a Digression Bar Blu-ray just for myself. Just so I don't know what I would ever do with it, but I thought it would be funny to have like, here's my podcast on Blu-ray. I find it really funny.
Would you have like special discs to like with art of
Sure.
like the stuff on it?
I don't even have a Blu-ray burner. I'd have to like figure all that out just for a joke. So
You could probably just go to somewhere that does.
I would probably
and make-
order it just so
Yeah.
I could get the graphics done. I don't know. I thought about it. You could do like cool stuff. Like I want to do like, say if it was like every 15 episodes and then you just put like a small little thumbnails all across the cover of it. It'd be cool. It'd be cool to have like after you're like, if I give it the whole like YouTube podcasting thing when I'm like 40, I come back and it's like, hey, it's my podcast. You remember this? You just like put it in. He used to wear the Bleach avatar for his Xbox Live pick. It'd be funny. So after this, we're playing Halo 5, right?
Yeah.
Are we playing Legendary co-op or regular co-op?
At least heroic.
At least heroic. Okay.
There's a skull that I still need to get. I think it's the only skull I don't have.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about... Well, I'll talk about it later.
Okay.
It's... Yeah.
So this is the intro to the gaming portion, I guess. So
Yeah.
Since last podcast, I beat Fallout 4. That was good. I did basically every quest. It was done. Killed Sheffield again. I think my final send off is I threw all 3 of those like nuke grenades that summon the nuke, and I just like
transponders.
Yeah, and I just vatsed like the nearest like cow or something, and I just watched them slowly fall in like slow motion of vats. I just watched. I didn't fire anything. Just like watch them come down. And like, oh, you guys are screwed, and you don't even know it. But when it's like 2 feet above a dude's head, it's hilarious. So glad to be over with that. I enjoyed it. Again, my big stance is I feel like too many things in that game just fight each other. Like, I really feel like just fundamentally, the writers were all like, we want to tell a story about one dude, and it's a specific dude or chick, and this is the story, and then the game's like open world where you can do whatever you want, and they just like butt heads. But since then, I also beat Final Fantasy 15, which is an amazing game, and I really liked. I have no real gripes. I have like small little things that slightly annoyed me, but overall, I thought the game was great.
Mm-hmm.
So...
I did too, and that's why I was so annoyed that I had to wait so long to talk to you about it.
I bought the game like the week after it came out, and every time I saw it on sale, I'm like, I should play that. Or it's like, man, if I didn't play it anyway, I could have saved $40 because it's on sale for $20 now, and I bought it for $60.
Yeah.
So I guess overall, first impressions, I really like the combat style.
Mm-hmm.
The camera kind of sucks. Like, there's a lot of combat where I'm just staring at a bush.
Yeah.
So small complaint there. It was a great like homage to a lot of other Final Fantasies. Like, there's a ton of just like small, like really loving Easter eggs all throughout that game. Mm-hmm. Like, I loved in when you go buy a weapon or armor, there's like those little sprites of the characters that will like show you. Like, that's awesome. That'll show you like who you can equip it to. That's really cool. Like, that's a cool
like
throwback.
Original ones, yeah.
I'll also, there's gonna be spoilers. We can talk about the ending.
I thought it was assumed that we'd be talking about spoilers.
Yeah, we're going to talk about spoilers. This is my warning, and this is going to go to the end.
Okay.
Yeah. I assume it's going to be the rest of the time.
What are other cool things. Like
I one.
the DLCs are good too.
I heard that too, and I assume it's like following each character on some side mission.
Yeah,
because
the first one was GLaDOS or
They call him not GLaDOS, but Gladius.
But
it's not like his name, full name. They call him like Gladio or something. I think it's Gladio.
Yeah,
that's what they call him.
Prompto and Ignis.
Ignis, yeah. I think one of the most amazing things the game does is use its mechanics to kind of tell story elements. Mm-hmm. So one of the things being example that I actually had was I was like halfway through the game and I was noticing like, man, I only basically use Gladio for my damage. And then I use Ignis for like some utility functions like revive. Mm-hmm. And then Prompto's over here, like he's got like half the health of like Ignis. He's just really not great other than this one special ability that his gun has, which is like the first one you get and he's like bang. And I was like, man, he's really not that great of a character or whatever. And then like literally 10 minutes later, I go to the hotel. He kind of like comes up to like Noctis and he like has that conversation. I don't feel like I'm playing with my weight. Oh my God, that was such a cool experience because I totally felt that way. Where it's like, now I felt bad. I was like, man, he's the worst character. And then he's like having heartfelt moment. Like, I feel like I don't fit
not
it.
Worst character, worst NPC.
Yeah.
Like he wasn't, as in he's least useful.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say that they made it, that was a thing I believe they kind of like talked about before the game came out. Like that wasn't like something like, oh, we'll just put that into like, as a nod, like, oh yeah, we know he kind of sucks. It's like, no, that was intentional. Mm-hmm. He kind of feels inferior to the other ones because he's not as strong as them.
So, yeah, I thought that was a great way, and by far the best example of that, heavy spoiler, is when Ignis goes blind and you can't cook anything. That's exactly where it's like, oh, it got sad really quickly. So I did have a couple issues where it would like lose audio, like when I fought Leviathan, it would just all the sound cut out, and I had to reboot it. And it was just like, oh, because it's like a big epic fight and all the sound was gone. I was like, God damn.
That's weird.
Yeah.
What did you think of, like, first of all, you sent me a Facebook message about, after Luna Freya's death, and then you're like, quotation mark, death. And I'm like, I don't want to say, like, nope, no, she's dead.
I'm salty. I think that she should have lived. I think they both should have lived at the end. I feel like that would have been a better ending.
I don't know. It's like, I was going to say, like, I felt like this was a Final Fantasy where it seemed like the main hero doesn't get to live in the saved world.
I can kind of get, I guess it just seems like it discounts their whole road trip story by him not coming out on the other end. Like, it seems like they're all about, like, you need to support your brother and all that. And then it's like, nope, he just died. It makes sense in the story. Like, he's all, like, giving his life. I just feel like at the very end, they should have given him like one like little caveat, like not let him know that he's gonna like be like, no, you're gonna die. But it would have been really nice, I feel like, to have like a little bit more of a happy ending where both him and at the end you find out like Freya lived or something.
Luna Freya.
Mm-hmm. I call her Freya because I'm pretty sure
they sometimes call her Freya.
Yeah, because Freya was a big character in 9, and that's the only other place I really know the name from.
Okay.
And I want to say it was like her name was like Freya Luna or something, and it's like I think that's a reference to that. I think.
I was gonna say, like, I feel like the whole thing about the road trip was supposed to be like, okay, you're all supporting each other to the very end, and they essentially walked you up to the place where they took you literally as far as they could go, and then
so that's just my stance, and they make it. I think they should have done. I don't know if they have any actual like post story DLC or not, but I mean, he's dead. I mean, they make it fairly obvious. I feel like even though they have like the one scene where he's like on the throne, but I assume that's just so they can do the. Is there a name for the title pics? Like on the cover art pictures in Final Fantasy? Because it's a big thing what that is in everyone. Is there a name for that?
I'm sure there is.
Yeah, I feel like there should be.
I think that's just supposed to be like some sort of afterlife. Mm-hmm. Like I don't think like that's not them alive, but it's also not just like a conceptual thing. I think it's supposed to be them together. Yeah, transcended.
I get that, but I think they should have lived. I feel like it would have been better. That's just my stance.
I feel like it would have been happier.
Yeah,
I was okay with that. I'm just like, man, that just really sucks for them.
Well, I guess it also would. I just felt better, like if then you had seen like here's them at their start of the journey, here's them all again at the end. And I mean, maybe I guess it still fits where it's like, oh, we lost like a dude on the way, kind of thing. I don't know, but what did you think of the villain?
I liked him. I liked Arnie.
I guess for the longest time, I liked him as a character. But I kept expecting for them to be like some kind of like opening up where there was another big bad. Like I think I texted you that I actually thought it was going to be the final boss was going to be
Ifrit.
Ifrit, yeah.
You were almost right. Because
Yeah.
he's the second to last fight.
Well, they also show him in like the opening cutscene kind of thing.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, and that was really just random. I don't know why they included that, other than I think to be like grab your attention.
I don't know either.
Yeah, but I thought it was gonna be like that. But I thought it was gonna be like, okay, here's the new big bad or something like that. I don't know what it would be, but yeah, I really liked his character. I thought it was well written. I think another big critique I had of the game was just the fact that for all the lore they have in that game, a lot of it isn't present. There's a lot of stuff where you need to have seen like Kingsglaive or like kind of know outside. Yeah. Like a big one was I actually had to go look up like who he was because he's like, oh, I'm whatever Lucis. Like, okay, you're related, but I guess he was very Arden, who his actual name was.
Oh, you mean what he was in the Empire or what he is in? Because he was the ambassador or the chancellor.
Yeah, but no, what he actually was born as his initial life.
Oh, he was one of the kings.
I think I looked up. He was supposed to be like the first king.
Yeah, like he was.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like I feel like even though like I don't think he's good, and I don't think what he does is justifiable, I believe it's at least sympathizable. Mm-hmm. He's like, everyone fucked me. Mm-hmm. Like the gods fucked me, and the kingdom that came after me kind of like wrote me out of history. Like I did nothing wrong, and they just fucking just shat on me, and I'm like, fuck you. I'm ending this shit.
So I enjoyed him. I think it's just like he. Again, like there's so many like loving like references. I feel like, and he's like a very good character that ties together like a villain that could be in FF7, but also in like FF9, like both in the very sci-fi one, but also in the fantasy, where he's like kind of like a weird guy, but also kind of like fantastical, like crazy.
Well, and I liked his like he fucked with you the entire game, and you didn't know. Like for the longest time, I couldn't figure. I'm like, there's something weird about him. Is he going to be like secretly good, or is he going to be secretly really bad?
Yeah, they play that really well. Where it's like. I kept going back and forth. Like, I don't know, like, what kind of character you're supposed to be. Like, yeah, like, are you supposed to be like the dude playing both sides? Are you secretly good but act evil? Are you evil but you act good? It was just like,
and it like came back again. Like, I for the longest time didn't know who the bad guy was.
Yeah,
because like a lot of the time, like, because after seeing Kingsglaive, I assumed, oh, it's going to be the Emperor. Mm-hmm. But no, you see him in like one cutscene as a normal human.
Yeah,
and then later he's an antagonist as that one demon that, or at least I think.
Yeah, he turns into a demon.
Well, I'm saying that is a chapter that's different for you than it was for me. Then when they changed, so I don't know how much they played around with.
Yeah, I'd have to go back because I think I only actually played half that chapter because it's like split. I don't know if this was it for you. There's one where you can play as Ignis and Gladio, and then there's another half you can play as Noctis.
My version was strictly Noctis.
Okay, so I guess they added that. But it was weird, like it acted like as if you could switch between them. So I think I played half of Noctis and then swapped, and then did the entirety of Ignis and Gladios. And you play like I would assume like you do in Gladios DLC, where like you can't teleport or warp and dodge everything, but it's got like a combo counter, and you get stronger the more hits you land and stuff. It was fun. So, but yeah, there's definitely other big stuff that came up to mind. But I really wish they just did better lore, or just like some things like.
Oh, by the way. You were talking about the bestiary. I was.
You didn't. Okay.
I was confused what you're talking about because like I thought it was just like in the Libra thing. Like no, that's an add-in.
Really?
I didn't have that.
Okay.
So I didn't. So I was like, I don't remember being able to see these spoiler things, and I went through. I'm like, all of a sudden, like I went and like I just like started the game up like last night and like just wherever I was, and there were like certain things like, oh yeah, now in the archive you can do the bestiary, and I'm like. Oh.
Man, that sucks that wasn't in game because like I really liked that because that let me plan ahead, not in the spoiler, but just like if I knew I had to hunt on this enemy, I gotta look ahead. It's like okay, I need to prep this fire magic and I want to like set this stuff up. I really enjoyed that. But the thing you're referencing that I find hilarious is in the bestiary area you can like load up the character models and like look at them and some of the cool stuff too, like the gods and all that, like the giant like Ifrit or Titan. Yeah, Ifrit. Yeah, you can like zoom in and see the character models except for one. Shiva.
2.
Oh, is there a second one?
Ariana or whatever her name is. You can't do it for her either.
Oh, really? I guess I haven't looked down far. I was just looking at the gods. You can't zoom in or reposition the model. And I was like, oh, I get why.
Yeah.
I get why. So, I just thought that was hilarious because it's like, oh, not that I was like trying to do anything weird, but I got, like, they don't even let you like turn it left or right. So I noticed it immediately. I was like, oh, sure. But, like Ramu or whatever, like, straight, like invert, goes straight up the skirt. with Rama. The old dude?
Which old dude?
The god. The lightning god.
Oh, Rama.
Rama, yeah. I was just making a joke. It's like, why would you want that? What do you do with it?
Yeah.
But I found that hilarious. Hilarious.
What do you think of the summons? 7 or 13?
I wish
15.
I wish they were easier to trigger when you meant to. Because I know there's some times when it's like, oh, why is it giving me a summon now? I don't need it. But it just is like, oh, you want a summon?
Well, there's also criteria that are required
Yeah.
to reach each one. Like, you can only get Leviathan and... Leviathan if you're close to water. You can get Shiva when you're just not in arid areas, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And then...
I know Rama, I can never pronounce it. He's anywhere. But Titan
Yeah.
needs to be like by ground. And
by
it's-
like dirt.
yeah, and it
rocks.
has to like the longer the fight goes, the more likely you are to get Rama. If you're like low on health for a long time, you get Titan, and it has this whole like criteria.
I think Shiva also comes in when you're critical.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm annoyed because PlayStation got a extra summon, and that was Carbuncle.
That's weird though, because also Carbuncle's like in the tutorial. That was one
Yeah.
thing. It's like I knew it was Carbuncle because it's Final Fantasy,
Yeah.
but they never brought that up at all. Like I thought because they like hide its name in the tutorial, but it's not a thing in the story as far as I know. It might be part of extra, but you never see him again outside the tutorial.
Right.
So I was like, when did they never explain that? What was that? Even though I knew it, it's a Carbuncle. I don't know the story behind it, but it's a thing.
Yeah.
So, but overall, really liked it. I feel like the camera could use some work. They definitely added a lot in. I was surprised it's free. There's some stuff that I feel like.
Well, a lot of this stuff might be because I have like...
Oh, that's true. We like to do that share thing.
Yeah. Well, it's just because I got like the I got like the Kings, like something that had like the season pass that had all the 3 DLCs and stuff, and they had a few pre-order stuff too. Yeah, but then there are other things I think were free.
Yeah. There's a couple of things that I don't feel like. I guess I looked at that Magic Tech armor I had, and what it is once per real life day, if you put it on from the time you enter combat, you're invincible for 30 minutes. And that's just like, it feels so mobile gamey. You're invincible, so you can't die.
How? What?
And for 30 minutes, that you're invincible because the armor has like a shield or something.
I think it's charge it up though.
Yeah. So once it's up, you have to wait 24 hours, and then it's back. That's how it charges. It's my understanding. I didn't use it because
Like 24-hour in game.
no real life.
Okay.
So you just like next day, which I guess is kind of neat. Like if you're someone who can't play a lot, to like like kind of grind stuff really quickly, like or get ahead a little bit. But it just seems like a really weird addition. But then there's great things. Like I know I texted you. It's like my dad told me not to like mess up the car, and within 1 hour I turned it into a monster truck and ran it into a rhino. And you're like, what are you talking about? And I send you a picture of me next to like the monster truck version of the car. And you're like, what is that? And you can like take it off the road. And I ended up going back because it's not that useful. Like there are some times where it's nice to like drive it closer. So because like sometimes it'll be like get off the road and it's still a mile away. Like that's dumb, especially when I didn't have chocobos yet. But for the most part, it's not a huge deal because then you also can't like you can't auto drive out of there. So a lot of times it's easier to like let it be the normal one, park it on the road, but then just warp back to the car and then have Ignis drive you. So I still never felt like night was hard. Like I didn't know if night was literally gonna be like night is no bars, level 99 demon, fucks my shit.
Night was hard for me when I played.
I guess my thing is I feel like I never encountered a lot of monsters in the game. Like most fights of me just running around were fairly rare. And maybe that was just because of where I was running. Like I was always around quest areas or something. But I think it was the same thing with night where it wasn't very common.
The bombs come out a lot at night. And those will wreck your shit real fast. And I feel like the demons hit really, really hard.
I don't know. Yeah, I guess
especially early game. Like now I can just run around at night, no problem. I can kill them. Like I've been in dungeons where there's like a fight of like 8 of them at once. And like it's really hard, but like you can do it.
Yeah. So I don't know. I guess I think I just didn't run into anything at the optimal time. Or I feel like I said like to you, I think the game intends you to beat the main game mainly and then do side stuff. So I think by doing a bunch of side stuff, I actually kind of over leveled a little bit to a point because like I was level 50 when I beat the game, and I don't think you need that at all. Like there's definitely stuff that will kill you still. But
yeah, I was gonna say I I did a lot of the side quest stuff first, and there were still parts like, for instance, I would say like there are parts that weren't necessarily challenging, but then when it got to the chapter where Noctis is by himself, some of that was really hard.
Yeah.
Did they still have where you're like running around for part of it and you don't have anything, and you have to like hide in the walls, like the Magitech Uber guys would like would like patrol, and you'd have to like hide from them, and then they would like pull you out of the wall if they found you. And
I think so.
Okay.
I think so. I want to say before, that's because that's before you get your ring. Or are you talking about in the base?
After you get separated, you can't use your magic powers.
I'm trying to think. I know I definitely had fought a bunch of demons. Well, not fought, but ran away from. But I guess, I don't know, maybe I dodged them enough. I don't really recall.
There are definite hallways. Like, you had to just run and avoid the Magitech guys. By the way, those things are super unsettling. Just like their mannerisms and movements. I feel like they did a really good job with them. Yeah.
And to go to that, I thought when Prompto, another big spoiler,
Prompto
does his reveal of like, he basically says, I'm a magic tech. And I was like, and they're like, that's cool. We don't see race. It's like, he didn't say that. He said he was a demon man. Like, he didn't say he's like from another country. I got the impression like, did he not just say he was made of demons?
Okay.
Because I was like, how is that not a bigger deal?
Okay. Episode Prompto explains that more.
Okay.
And he didn't really know all about it when he was little, because he was taken from the facility when he was an infant.
Okay.
So what the Magic Troopers are clones of the head researcher scientist that are then infused with demon stuff and then like transcended into demon forms. So Prompto is one of those clones.
Okay.
But he was abducted before he could have a lot of the demon stuff done to him.
Okay. I can see that.
But he still was biologically created and had a few enhancements.
Okay. I can make sense of that. Okay. I'm trying to think if there's any other big plot twists. I wish they let you keep certain characters in your party for longer. I really wish Ariana had a longer section of the game, because I feel like they kind of really put a lot into that character.
She's in Prompto.
Yeah. But I guess, I feel like it would be nice if the game kind of continued after it ended. Like, you can go back, but I really wish they just had, like, it's the end of the game, there's still stuff to fight kind of thing. I saw those characters.
She'll actually show up and help you and fight in places. Like, there are certain areas so you can be like, I know there's a wide area of the map that you can go to that she will just, like, her ship will fly up and she'll come down and start fighting.
That's cool. I guess one of the things is, like, as much as I like the road trip, it would have been kind of cool if they had, like, a full fleshed out, like, you can have other members in your party. Like, it would be cool to actually get, like, a permanent, like, Ariana in your party, or even, like, a Gladio sister, I guess, an extra thing. Just for, like, some variety. But it's not bad. I'm okay with them doing the whole road trip thing, because that was obviously better. I wish that was a little bit more of a thing, like actually swapping out the party members.
To my knowledge, I don't know if anyone, like, gets a healthy relationship in the game.
What do you mean? At the end? No. Like, you're talking about after you come back and the world's fucked?
I meant just throughout the entire thing. It's like Gladio's sister doesn't get anything, Gladios doesn't get anything, Ignis doesn't get anything, Prompto probably doesn't get anything, you and Lunafred never get to get married. It's like the whole thing just like, it just sucks for everyone.
I feel like there should have been someone that did that, but I can't think of anyone. Can I critique? I hated those fucking quests for the head hunter Dave. It was like, go get the dog tags. I don't know why they made it such a big deal of that. Fuck that quest. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's like the same dude who's like in every settlement. He's like, can you go find these dog tags from a hunter? And you get an achievement for like every quest.
Okay.
I didn't finish it, but it's a whole thing. And it's like,
I just remember because a lot of them you can just get by doing other stuff.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
I found a lot of dog tags by accident.
But I guess it just seemed weird that it's like on a different scale from other quests for some reason. And I didn't get why. Also, small complaint is overused voice lines. That's a big one.
Yeah.
Every time Ignis gets a recipe, I want to
Thought
die.
of a new recipe.
It's like, I'll taste test it, says Gladio.
Or and it Pronto says something, I forgot what he says.
Like, especially like early on, because you're discovering so many recipes, and he's constantly like, he did it like 3 times in a row. And one time I was just like, God damn it, I don't care. I don't care. And like, I didn't, it's not until late game that I actually camped out a lot. Because usually it was like...
Really?
Yeah, I did mainly like those campers, the caravans. Just because I had plenty, not plenty, but I had enough gil. And a lot of times I was always in town at night anyway. So...
I camped a lot.
I mean, I felt like I did at the end of the game to make a point of it. But I felt like if I was going to be prepared for a fight, what I would do is I'd camp out, rest, get my XP, and then I'd go to the area I would need to fight, and then I would just camp outside that. Because really, then camping's free, so just go turn in your XP in town, and then if you want the bonus, just camp again. Like, waste a day. Because there's no detriment to that.
Again, I feel like I ran around a lot, and there'd be times where it just get dark. I'm like, fuck, I need to camp.
Well, I guess that's the other point, is I didn't have an issue with night, so I just run around at night. I didn't do much, but if I just had to run over and get, like, a quest item, it's like, oh, thanks. Did you take a lot of photos? I actually really love the mechanic. I tried to get, like, super into it, like, what they would take pictures of.
There were times I tried to take interesting photos.
What was the photo you chose at the end? I chose, it's when they leave for Altissia, and they're all, like, together. I felt that
Or, like, on the, in, like, near the lighthouse?
In the Underground Harbor, yeah. I felt like that was the natural one where it's got, like, everyone. Even though
I think so. I think I did too.
There's a couple of people, again, they didn't feel like they didn't explain, but like there'd be like random people I feel like I should know that show up. Like there's Talcott, that boy, but then also his like grandfather. And I feel like I was supposed to know who that was, but he's just kind of there. I thought he ran the hotel. I don't know.
No, he just
lived there. Well, he was like an attendant, I guess. Like I think he might have been like related to Ignis or something. Because I guess Ignis is part of a whole family of attendants or something to the crown. So I think it was just like something like that. But I thought it was just the dude who ran the hotel that was getting like super friendly or something. He's like, oh cool, I guess my father knew this hotel keeper. And then this random boy that lives here. And it's like, oh, now I get it at the end. So
also like again, I was gonna say because with a lot of the Final Fantasies. You kind of like, it's called Final Fantasy because it's, well, I mean, the first one was supposed to be Final Fantasy because it was supposed to be like a latch ditch thing. Like, oh shit, we're going to make a game. This is our Final Fantasy. But then it's also like, because it's apocalyptic every time. I feel like this one goes a really long time before it's very clear that there's an apocalyptic event going to happen.
Yeah. I feel like it was kind of a surprise too when the thing happens. Like when you go meet Bahamut and you wake up 10 years later, that kind of just kind of happened.
Well, I feel like they were hinting at the a little before that because like they were making if you like when you're driving around and stuff that'll be a big thing. It's like the nights are getting really long and the days are starting to get really short and people are getting freaked out about it, especially because the demons come out at night and there are fewer and fewer places to be. So I feel like there's a point where like okay, something slowly is happening,
right?
And then Eridan traps you in the crystal thing, and then you're like. Wake up 10 years later and it's like...
Well, Legend of Zelda. Ocarina of Time. Trapped in the crystal for 10 years. Yeah. I know it's 10 years exactly. It's a while. But, it just came kind of something where it would have been kind of cool if they actually did that mechanic where it's like, daylight starts at 6 a.m. and sun goes down at 9 every day. And then as you progress in the game, it would be cool if it was like, you only have 4 hours of daylight. That'd be kind of neat if it actually got to that point before I did the skip. Also, using the ring is so awesome. Do you get to keep the ring after you beat the game?
What does ring do again?
You just cast death and you hold it. If you hold long enough, it insta kills, and then you got awesome. That was so much fun.
You get to keep that ring.
Awesome. I'm gonna use that so much. So maybe this is me coming from Fallout and me just hating my settlers. But one of the things I did was like I went back to like the opening area and outside Hammerhead and I found some like those wolves that killed me and I summoned Rama. And he just fucking died. So satisfying. Just watching this like beastly Gandalf-esque character stabbing the spear in the ground and just like obliterating everything. And then you have this great moment. It's like, oh, I guess there was a thing over there because it just died and gave me the experience points. I love that.
What was? I don't know. I don't know what it was. Do you have a shit ton of hunting quests to do? Yes,
I still there's a lot of quests. I think that was my clue that I wasn't supposed to be doing them kind of as they came out because there's so many side quests.
There are a lot. There are some really cool dungeons too.
Only for those. I really liked the dungeon aspects.
There's one dungeon though that's a fucking dick.
I think a lot of the dungeons are supposed to be references to like the early Final Fantasy games, particularly 1. Because in Final Fantasy 1, I know like some of the big bosses you fight are, let me hear you out, like you fight a giant, the Giant King, which would be Titan. You fight a Naga. You fight a Mind Flayer. These are all like required dungeons you go through in the story.
Mind Flayers are like those weird.
They're like the wizard squids.
Wizard things.
Yeah,
yeah.
They're all the ones that these are all monsters that are ripped from D&D. By the way, like I learned that by watching like a Let's Play recently. Like, yeah, Final Fantasy 1 was a pretty hard rip off of D&D. I guess they had to change a bunch of the names in the U.S. version because in the Japanese version it was like this is literally a beholder, and that's what it is. And now in like the U.S. version it's like it's a giant eye with tentacles, but those tentacles don't have eyes on them.
Yeah,
and I should send you a link. There's a
I feel like it doesn't have a giant eye; it has a mouth instead of an eye.
In the later ones, I think they change it.
Yeah,
but what's interesting is like the thing I was watching is really good. Where it's like, here's the D&D 1 book of the artwork of the beholder. Here's the character sprite, and it's literally 1-to-1. Like you can tell they like basically traced it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, there's so many cool little references. Like I don't know how much of Final Fantasy you know, but like even just simple stuff like after your 10-year skip, the quest is called like World of Ruin, which is a reference to like Final Fantasy 6. Or like I know I think they had a Kefka's Laugh. I don't know if that's in the big thing from Final Fantasy 6 or whatever. That's in like all the Final Fantasy games because it's like iconic.
Kefka's Laugh?
Yeah. If I play it for you.
Is that a quest you mean?
No, it's a sound. Because Kefka's the villain in 6. Okay. And he's like this jester character, and he's got this very specific laugh. And they hide it in a bunch of other Final Fantasy games. Like I know in 7, when you go to, if you stay at the inn at the Golden Saucer, there's like it's like a haunted inn. I don't know if you remember that. It's haunted. There's like a thing where when you leave the area, it will play the laugh, like really sped up. And I think it was in 13, it was like an enemy that makes the noise. It's a thing. There's a lot of
a goblin, maybe?
In 13? I don't know. 13, not 15.
Yeah, goblins in 13 were weird.
Yeah.
They're like the weird things, like they would like ring chests.
Oh yeah,
and they would like have like roller skates, type thing, and they
maybe
like they were weird.
Yeah, those were
the goblins were real weird at 13.
On that point, I know 13's not well liked. I very much feel like 13 had to be bad for 15 to be good. Because I think if you look at 13.1, 13.2, Lightning Returns, I think it's very obvious to see the progression to what 15 was. And I think even if you play Lightning Returns like to the end game, I think it was clear that they were like experimenting with that stuff. Because like one of the most interesting abilities I think you can get in Lightning Returns is just evade. Because it's like really cheap, but there's a lot of attacks where it's ridiculously powerful. Like you can just sidestep a boss's laser attack. And I think that was one of the things like they're experimenting with, like having a full 3D Final Fantasy and let you move around. Yeah. That led into 15. And I thought that was like, I think that can't be understated that like 13 had to suck for them to have a good one, I feel like.
I still don't think 13 sucked. I feel like there are problems.
Yeah. The way my stance of it on 13 is that I read a lot of articles when it came out because I was really curious because I played 7, 8, 9 and I was like, oh, 13. I'm going to be able to play a Final Fantasy game when it comes out, when it's relevant. And I remember like a lot of things that Square said was that it's very hard to make a 3D Final Fantasy game. And there's a lot of things that need to change and it's expensive. And like, for example, one of the things they called out is it's very hard to make a town. And that's why there's no towns in 13. Like there's cities you go in, but it's not like a town you shop around in. They replaced that instead with like the save point system where you can just call up a shop. Yeah. And then you don't see it again until 13.3, like Lightning Returns, in which they clearly had to put a lot of time into that town because you spent so much time there. Yeah. You kept coming back. And that's why
they only had like 4 main areas. Too.
Yeah. And that's why. And those are really dense. But I think then if you look at like just the way 13.3 plays, Lightning Returns, like there's a lot just like in interacting with like the random little NPCs and getting quests and each of them having sub-stories, that you could easily take a character out of that and it would look at home in 15. And that's just my stance because I like 13.
Didn't you say that there's like one place in like the place where Snow, like the town Snow's in, that you said there was like this one restaurant and the guy's like frying these things of eggs and like the eggs looked really good and acted really well in the world?
It's it's the other town, not Luxarion. I should know this.
I think it is.
Luxarion's the main hub where you end the game. The other one is there's 2 cities. Luxarion is the first city, and then there's the party city. Yusnan. Yeah, that's it. Yusnan. I don't know. I know this, but
I do start. I was like, I think it starts with the U.
But the reason that was interesting, first off, is because it's clear they were using assets, but not in like a bad way. But just like, hey, we happen to have like sausages and an over easy egg, so let's just make a guy cooking it. But yeah, it's like if you go all the way back in this like little corner, it's just like a chef, and he's like he makes an omelet or something like that, where it's like he cracks the egg and it's there, and he like moves it around, but it's not like the egg even sticks to the pan. You can see it slide around the pan. Like someone spent like time doing this, but there's no reason to ever go talk to him. But the reason it's there is because you can get a giant egg prop to put on your monsters in 13.2. That's why they have that thing. And I think they probably even had the object before then from 13 for some reason. And I think they just had all these assets that it's like, well, why? Let's make use of them. And I think they just ran with that. Where like, there's so many cool details. But that actually is maybe the big point I loved about Final Fantasy 15 is it's very, I guess, contemporary, where they really mix like, or I guess, real life and fantasy. And I like a good pinnacle of that I felt was just like the yellow caution sign with a chocobo on it.
Yeah.
Where it feels like something you would just recognize. Like, oh yeah, that makes sense. But it's also, it's Final Fantasy. And just running around like, oh, it's a gas station. Like, I wouldn't think that fits in Final Fantasy, but they totally nailed it.
Yeah.
You know, where they mix those like worlds together. And I really thought that was cool.
And I don't know, I felt like I also kind of liked how because of the technology of like the Magic Troopers, like they're robots, but they're also demonic. Mm-hmm. And so like, it's weird having like this weird sci-fi type, but also like weird medieval feel to it at the same time. Mm-hmm. Especially the big Magitech things, because they're all Magitech troopers, like the ones that like just look like they're just clad armored guys, and the big robotic fucking abominations, are all Magitech or troopers type things. So
interesting.
For the longest time, I thought the soldiers were just soldiers.
Yeah,
but they're not.
I really want to rewatch Kingsglaive now that I understand the world more, though. So that's one thing. I think one of the things that's always interesting about Final Fantasy is they achieve replayability partially because you have to play once to just kind of get it, and then you replay it like a second time and you understand how the world works. And then if you were to replay it a third time, it's like now you can see the events happening in the world that set things up.
Well, one thing I think that we should do, I don't know how much of it is worth or anything. Like, I know there is a co-op something in Final Fantasy 15 now, and I think some of it can like ties into Kingsglaive a little bit.
Interesting.
You can also get the protagonist's daggers from Kingsglaive in the main city or in Insomnia. When you're going to fight the last fight, like there's a part where you go after you beat Ifrit and you kill and go up to like right before you get in those elevators, there's a noise. If you do that, you can go back and kill an enemy and it'll drop his daggers.
That's cool. I'll have to do that. There's a lot to do in that game. It's a fun game too. Like I really enjoyed the combat. I had fun like messing around with that. It does feel like it doesn't handle like lots of enemies very well. Like just the combat system, I should say. Like it feels really good if you're like one-on-one. Like it's almost like Dark Souls-esque, and it feels like you can really do a lot of cool stuff like dodge and go in. But I know there'd be times where it's like I'm fighting like 8 giraffes and they just kind of flail about, and it's like I can't understand how I'm supposed to like strategically do this. Also, I still don't understand how to use magic. I can do it, but basically I just say like,
I feel like
sorry guys, fuck you.
Yeah, it's like, 'cause like you can't discriminate with it.
Yeah.
So it's like, sorry guys.
But I feel like they use that as a justification to make it powerful. So if you do stuff like I'll put like fire rings on my characters to make them like immune. And in the case now I just have like a freaking nuke of a fireball and it's not going to kill them. So just boom. I don't know. It's kind of all over the place. It's weird. I didn't use magic as much as I would like.
I didn't either. I mainly gave magic to Ignis.
I think one of the issues is you can't make it single target. Like
tune it's all AoE.
Yeah. I wish you could say make it okay, this is refined so it's smaller radius but does more damage, or go wider. Or if you could just have just like non-combat spells a little bit easier. Because the only way
more support spells.
Yeah, like the only way to do that, like you can do it like I use 1 fire and 99 or not 99, but like a 99 potency poison. You can make that spell.
You can also do it
it's just weird.
You can also do it so it has heavy health return.
Yeah.
So like you do a certain amount of damage and it has a significant health return for that.
Mm-hmm. And you can do that. It just seems weird that you have to like tie it to like an element. You can't just have like I want to cast Cure. So I don't know. I mean, I can get why you can't
get the ultimate blade.
No.
Okay. Because you can get that's what you refine the engine blade to.
Mm-hmm. I guess I never went back and talked to Sid. Like, I got the first upgrade, but I haven't gone back and done it again yet. I probably have the materials.
Upgrading weapons is a big deal in the game.
Yeah, I noticed that. Like, there's a long time where I just got stopped, like, encountering new areas, so I couldn't keep buying better weapons. And I knew it's like, I have all these upgradable weapons. I just didn't know how to upgrade them. And then you're like, oh, go to Sid. It's like, oh, that makes sense. And then he gave me, like, 8 quests.
Yeah.
And whatever, just to get junk. And that's like, oh, well, now I can upgrade.
Yeah.
So, that was the deal. I really liked the game. I felt like the best summary, I feel like, really was when you load the game and it says, like, oh, like, a perfect Final Fantasy for, like, fans and first-timers. I feel like that really held true. Where if you had never played one before, that's a really good game. If you have played them before, you'll really love it anyway.
Mm-hmm. Unless you're just like, I really just like the game mechanics of all the other Final Fantasy games. I don't like how it's not turn-based anymore or whatever.
Yeah. I think they did it well. I know a lot of people were really picky when 13 came out and wasn't turn-based. Again, go back to that. My overall stance on 13 that I wanted to get at was that they tried to fix too many things at once. And that was the issue, I think. Where individually it's like they wanted to make more linear, so they make it more cinematic. But they wanted it to still be long, so then you end up with like long hallways. You don't have much choice. They wanted to have like really personality-driven characters. And if you don't like those characters, they really suck.
Yeah.
Which 15 would have had that same problem as well, but you like the characters in 15. You know, like they're nice characters. So you don't mind that they're constantly using the same lines. You can deal with it.
Yeah, it's like Ignis. Shut up, but it's okay.
It's
like, shut up, but I still love you.
Mm-hmm. So I need to make more stuff at camp when I play the game. And also,
you can get some pretty important recipes.
I think one of the reasons reminds me so much of Lightning Returns is the food. Like I said, like there's so many like weirdly highly animated and detailed food. In 13, like Lightning Returns, and obviously in 15, there's like food looks good.
Just basically food porn in the game.
Yeah, it's really good. Although I don't know how I feel about the Coleman sponsorship. Whenever they go camping, it's all like Coleman gear. I felt like that kind of took me out. Especially like the first time you camp and you see it's on everything, it's a little weird. But
it's a little weird, but I didn't care much. I mean, I felt like when they put like, okay, you can put something in there. It's like, okay, we'll put Coleman on a few things. Like, but we don't have any other brands to put in there, so I guess we'll just brand everything Coleman.
I guess maybe the reason it stand out so much is they spent so much time and energy to make it like Final Fantasy in the real world esque. So like stuff like I love the idea. It's like, oh, it's Phoenix Down Cola. Like I get that. To see something that's very hard, like this is a real world brand instead of like a Final Fantasy spin on something. I think that's why it stood out. So, but that's just me. I'm trying to think of other big stuff. I tried to do those like a daily quests. And I'm kind of
limited quests.
I did 1 or 2, but they're really awkward.
They're weird. I still don't really know what they are.
Yeah, but they give you like really good stuff. Like there's an awesome sword I could get from that. I should do.
I should.
I'm thinking like it feels weirdly like they want it to be. I'm gonna say this mobile gamey. I don't know if that's a term anymore because like Destiny 2 is the same way, where it's like they want you to play a little bit every day, like log in every day, get bonuses, and that feels weird for a Final Fantasy game. But the game's good enough that I don't necessarily mind.
I'm asking you without an answer myself. Who is your favorite character? I don't have it, so don't ask me because I would have to think about it longer. I just want
favorite's hard. Probably Noctis is fine.
I was gonna say like I felt
like
he's
kind of indifferent. Well, it's hard to say because if this was who's my favorite actor, I would say probably like Ignis or something because his like big turn at the end, turn around when he goes blind. It's very neat. But that doesn't necessarily mean I like the character. He does that. I liked Luna Freya, but I feel like you don't actually see a lot of her.
Yeah, I felt like there could have been more Luna Freya in the game.
So, like I said, I feel like that's why they should have like met. I feel like at the end again, just to make it a little bit more relevant because I feel like I still don't understand his relationship with her. I think I remember from Kingsglaive, didn't he go there as like a not a prisoner of war, but like to kind of protect? Like the king sent him there to like protect Noctis. Why does Noctis know Lady Luna Freya? Why was he in Tenenbrow?
Okay, so
because again, this is stuff like I feel like I should know this because clearly it's a very important detail.
Their kingdoms were allies, and when they were kids, so Luna Freya is an oracle,
right?
Which is basically a prophet in a way. So she had visions. The kingdoms were friends, and they met one day because they were doing government stuff. Like she's a princess. Like her family was the king of them. The king, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But she also she prophesized that there was going to be a big deal and that Noctis was going to be a thing important to it. And then they kind of just became friends. And like, okay, so this is going to be a big deal. And Noctis, you fucking better get your shit together. And from then on, it's like, okay, also, you know, it helps government relations if they were to get married, because then it would be a linking between the two kingdoms. But that's when Niflheim invades, and they're attacked. It was weird because like they were Noctis, the king, and they were there when they attacked and tried to escape. The mom was killed. The king was killed, and the brother kind of fell behind, and she decided to stay with her brother. So that's why she didn't come with them, but she wasn't, not because she didn't approve, but it's more like she wanted to stay to help her brother.
I wish they covered more of that in game, or even if they just told you where to go to get that information. Like, say, if they were like, go watch Kingsglaive if you want to find this out. But it seems like, I think the only lore you get to start the game is you get 4 paintings in the tutorial. And there's like, this is the world, this is the thing. Demons come out at night. It's not very helpful.
In Kingsglaive, I feel like they do it. In Kingsglaive, they show you a lot. Because like they show the scene when they're together and Niflheim comes in.
But if you just have the game, you haven't seen the movie. That's the thing.
Right, but you did see
I saw the movie, but it was a while ago. It was back like a year and a half ago when I bought the game.
Yeah.
So that's why I'd love to watch it again. But I just wish they did better way of introducing stuff in game. Like, I guess now they say that there's the I don't know if it was Bestiary, but their archive with the people's stories. They should have had that for every character you have encountered. Like, I don't think you ever get an entry on Lunafreya, if I recall.
I think you should.
Maybe after her death, I think. But it would be nice if I could load it up. Like, what's my relationship with Freya? Like, how do I know her? And you would see.
Aren't there journal entries? Like, there's correspondence between you two where there's kind of like flashbacks about.
Yeah, there's a little bit. Well, that's why I knew there was a thing. But I wish I wanted to go something that would just read off like, this is how they know each other. Because there is, but I didn't have any context for it. So it surprised me when the messenger was Shiva. I was like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
wow. And she tells Orange, like, fuck off. She like turns him into ice for a second. Like, go away.
Stop it. I'm annoyed with you.
Yeah. That was great. Oh, I love when like Leviathan's just being kind of just like
bitch.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, bitch. And Titan shows up, and I feel like it was just so well animated. Where I'm sure they've had this issue before, where Leviathan's being a weirdo, and Titan's like, just fuck off, and just like fucking punches the ground and knocks her away, and just like, no one wants to deal with your shit, Leviathan. The world's dying. And I can just see like it gave so much character. I felt like to that, so that was cool. I'm trying to think if there's any other big things. Warping's cool. I love why get 4x damage. Yes.
What?
When you like throw your blade in combat, that's cool.
Oh, warping.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
That's cool. I still wish like though it feels a little clunky because I try to play it like Dark Souls, but there's a lot of times where you'll lock yourself into a long animation, like when you hold down B, you'll do like 3 hits, or you can't dodge, and that's annoying. That's not more responsive. There's a lot of animations you just can't break out of, and it just really sucks. Like that. Or like they just don't explain a lot of mechanics in the game, despite the mechanics themselves being really good. Like I had to look up how to use like machinery because I had an auto crossbow, but only it would ever work like it fired like air shotgun blasts, and like this doesn't make any sense. And then I look it up, it's like, oh, if you press Y, you don't warp with it. That's how you do the ranged attack. It's like, oh, I wish that was explained to me at some point.
Yeah,
I wish that was.
For a second, I'm like, what are you talking about crossbows? Like, like those big ass.
Yeah,
like,
the machinery, which are cool now that I know how to use them. And there's a lot of mechanics that are cool, but that's always been my critique with Final Fantasy is you'll have these awesome mechanics, but you can't use them because you don't know what they actually do. Or like, what does this actually mean?
Yeah.
So,
and it almost feels like I don't want to experiment to try to figure it out. Like there are times like I don't want to get my shit wrecked.
Yeah. Like it'd be fun if I was like a kid and I could play this game like 16 hours every weekend and just like pour through it. But it's like I'm not going to.
Yeah.
So Which is too bad because, I don't know. I had a lot of fun, though, just like learning the enemies and combat. I'm way better now than when I started. So, yeah. I think we're at time. I could talk for longer. There's a lot of great things in that game. It's like a very nice, tiny, like, oh, that's so cool. Like, references. It really, I'm on a big Final Fantasy kick. Like, I'm rewatching that Final Fantasy 7 speedrun because it's amazing. And I won for Final Fantasy 9. Because you played 7, but not 8 or 9. You started 8.
I beat 7. I got like 2/3 through 8. And all of a sudden hit a wall of something. I don't know what it was. There's just, I played it. I was playing it. I played it. And I stopped playing it. I don't know what.
I think I remember. Because what did you play it on?
My laptop.
Was that? Oh. I guess that's the only way. But for some reason, I thought it was like you had your old laptop and you're playing 8. And then you got your new laptop. It's like, well, now I can run XCOM 2, so fuck off, Final Fantasy. That's what I thought it was. I thought it was. I feel like that's what I remember is you playing XCOM 2.
I might have gotten XCOM 2.
Yeah, which is fine. I don't care. But you should go back and play because those are good. I really would love to hear your opinions on 8 and 9. Just because they're all, like, I believe, if I recall, I wasn't aware of it at the time, but I think 7, 8, and 9 were all announced at the same time. And they're all worked on in parallel, even though it came out 7, 8, and then 9.
Well, they look real different.
Well, that's the point. The point was, like, 7 was supposed to be the launch. Like, big, like, Hollywood blockbuster, lots of 3D animations. This is like launched for the PS1 game. 8 was supposed to be a little bit more, I don't want to say sci-fi like 7 was, but a little bit more like not fantasy. And then 9 was supposed to be like a throwback to Final Fantasy 1, 2, and 3, where you have like the black mages, like the stereotypical ones, you know, and like the giant hats and all that.
Oh, and the guy with the monkey tail.
Yeah, Matt. That's the main character, Zidane.
Yeah.
He's a monkey tail. It's surprisingly not, it's surprisingly not that crazy. But also there's animal people in that game. And they don't ever explain why.
Also, like, I played a little bit of 9 because I played that on my phone. You helped me get an emulator for my phone.
Which you'd think would be more convenient. I have it on my phone too, and I never play it.
It was on my older phone. I don't know if it's. I don't have it now because it's the same phone.
Yeah.
Off topic.
Digressions.
The princess that comes with you and changes her name to Dagger. I always thought was stupid. I don't know why. Like, it just like.
Did you play that far?
Yeah, I played.
Isn't that's a ways into the game? I thought
I got to her the place where she's from.
Well, you start there. Oh, I know you.
The place where the frog king.
That's like her uncle. But technically, she's from a different kingdom. I see. Yeah, that's pretty significant. That's what you play more. I like 9. 9's really happy. There's just a lot of way to talk about just like different ways they view the story. Like I feel like 7 doesn't really have a love story. 8 is super love story.
Yeah.
9 is, I think, the best written kind of one, but it's not really the focus. There's like, they have a good balance. I don't know, it's just kind of interesting seeing different things, like how 7 is super sci-fi in a way. And then like 9 is just so like animal people. Like anything goes.
The dagger. Why would, like, it seems like super like edgy. Like,
you don't say.
Is that what she was going for? Like, I don't.
Well, I guess I don't know why they chose dagger. Maybe there's a reason, but there's a scene where she actually takes the name, and it's because she's going to cut off her hair with the dagger, and she like goes like really short, and she does it with the one as a Dane, the monkey guy's daggers. I don't know if that's the best name. You can call her something else. Call her anything.
I don't know. It bothered me. Her name was Dagger, or she decided to go with the alias Dagger.
Yeah,
like she's not like goth or like anything, but her name's Dagger now. It's like,
and it's confusing when people talk about the game because they'll refer to her by both names. Like, do you call her Garnet or Dagger? And then you have like her actual name. She has another name actually in the story.
She's a real name.
Yeah.
So Garnet's not her real name.
Yeah, you need to play it. Well, I mean, it's not like a crazy secret, I guess, kind of thing. I don't know. Play the game. And play Bayonetta. You gotta you need to finish your game so I can buy Bayonetta 2 and play it on your Switch. Because I don't like it so much to buy a Switch for that, just that. I like to play Breath of the Wild.
I just need to sit down, beat Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
That's what I did with Final Fantasy 15. I was just like, I have a 5-day weekend. I am going to plow through this. It took like 30 hours. I mean, it bled a little bit into like after, but yeah.
It's just
fun games. I want to play more games, but I need also to do more YouTube.
I recommend Xenoblade Chronicles as well.
Well, then you need to lend me your Switch.
I know, but you have to
Please.
beat. You should beat Zelda first. Then you can play.
Yes.
Xenoblade Chronicles.
Bring it over. I can play. You can play Bayonetta on my Xbox, and I can use the gamepad, and I can play Bayonetta 2.
I have Dead Space and Dead Space 2 now.
On Xbox?
Yeah.
I also have that.
Well, I was gonna say
Are you
I
gonna
have
play
it. I have it. They're the 360 games for gold.
Yeah. You gonna play them?
I probably will. I was gonna say that could
I
be
like
another thing I could do.
One thing I like about Dead Space is it like harkens back to like that time period where all the campaigns were like 10 hours long, so you can kind of blast them in big chunks. Because I feel like when I first got my 360, like everything was like an FPS, and all the campaigns were like 8 hours long. Like you could beat Halo in a day if you wanted. And,
yeah.
and now I feel like all the games they have are like Fallout 4 and Final Fantasy 15, and I want to go play Dragon Age, and there are all these giant monstrosities of these games to like get through, and I'm just like, oh, I miss it when I could be like, I'm so excited you get a game, you beat the game in one go, and just like, yeah. I miss that. We're super at time if I intend to get this out tomorrow. We're an hour and 15 minutes. Dear God. So, I'm Grant.
Andrew.
Maybe move the podcast to a month. I haven't decided yet. I'd like to get this one out and see. Maybe I don't know. Maybe we'll bump it. I just don't know. I don't know. And the thing is, like, whatever I choose, I need to stick with it. Like, I don't want to go, like, if I'm going to do 2 weeks, I need to stick with 2 weeks. I can't be, like, deciding later. But if I pick a month, I can't do, like, have 1 month and then go back to the 2 week schedule, because that doesn't work either. So, I don't know. Let me know in comments if you hate this. If you want every day, Andrew will edit all the videos. So, yeah. All right. Bye. See you in 2 weeks.